Hey everybody, welcome. Public speaking, fall 2020. It's going to be a weird semester, but I'm very happy to be teaching this asynchronous online course that you are in. And if you're watching this and you're not in it, welcome. Maybe you can learn something from this video as well. My name is Dr. Steviano. I'm your professor, or you've just randomly found me on the internet. Either way, I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you're not in the class, but maybe you can get something from it. I am very happy to be teaching public speaking. I really like teaching it, get a lot out of it, and I find it to be a really useful and fun course. And I hope that you will too. And I'm going to make a series of videos about public speaking and about public speaking is what we call it, but rhetoric is the formal name that public speaking has been given for thousands of years. We'll talk about rhetoric a little bit too. In fact, your textbook will talk about rhetoric quite a bit. I probably should have gotten the textbook out to have it here, but I didn't because I'm unprepared. Let's see, what else? I know you guys are in the Discord, so you've probably already seen the syllabus and all that. So I thought this first video might be one to kind of ease your concerns about what it is to put a speech together and kind of talk about the major things that we're looking at in this course and what I'm trying to teach you to do over these next 12 or 13 weeks when it comes to public speaking, rhetoric, and gaining your capacities in that. You might already have a lot of capacities. I mean, I might not be able to do that much for you except to get you maybe more aware of what capacities you have. So I'm addressing you here from the Roman Senate, or a depiction of the Roman Senate. It actually looks pretty good, except you're not allowed to touch the speaker, I guess, because my hand goes all Marty McFly there. But anyway, yeah, a depiction of the Roman Senate. The reason I do this is public speaking is this, all this stuff around me here. And it's also this, right? There's a connection here. What they're doing in this is not that far removed from when you make a YouTube video or you make a podcast and you talk about what you think ought to happen in the world, or what you think people ought to believe, or what you think people ought to do, or what do you think should change, or what do you think should stay the same. All these things are the heart of public speaking, and that's what public speaking is really about. It's not about reading a PowerPoint to a bunch of people in a corporate boardroom. That's an effect of good public speaking. Public speaking is related across culture, across time, in extremely powerful ways. And that's one of the larger things that I want you to think about this term. And I hope you do. For this video, I'm not going to really get much into the history of rhetoric. I might do that in another video. Let's look at the syllabus here. Now, this is page 13 of the syllabus. Pretty important page for you. It's important to note the syllabus is in Google Docs. I will change some of the things as stuff goes on. Anytime you open it up, you can look right here where it says the last edit was 6 days ago. I haven't really changed it in several days. I feel like there's really no need to change it right now. Class is going pretty well. Everything seems pretty good. So yeah, oh, I hope the sound is recording. It is. Okay, good. Yeah, there's a little bit of learning curve for us too here with this kind of professor online stuff. So these are the questions we look at to determine if a speech is good, or the questions that I look at. And I thought I might go through these, but let's talk a little bit about some of the aims of public speaking, some of the things you might think public speaking is about. So I want you to think about this question. What is a good speech to you? And what do you think a good speech consists of? What elements would it have in it? What things would you notice about it? I would ask you if you were here what you might say about this. I really don't know. What might you say? Well, I think you might say something like, it has to be interesting. It has to be delivered well, which might be the same thing. I don't know. It needs to be organized. It needs to have good information. In our current society, our current cultural moment, we're obsessed with these things called facts. More to come on facts.
What other things? Maybe um, it has to maybe have some passion in it, some energy, emotion in it. You might not say that. I don't know. You might say, well, a good speech is one that is true and communicates its point and it does it very directly and logically. And I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people have an assumption about. The thing about speech is that it's an art. And whatever the obligations of a speaker might be in terms of what a good speech is always aimed at the audience. And the audience is the most important thing we can think about in public speaking. Is who are they? Who do we want them to be? Who do we think they are? And how capable are they? What can we push them to do? Might be an ethical way of thinking about it. I think this might be, let me know in the Discord when you watch the video what you think some of the other things will be, and we can have a conversation about it. Maybe one of the things that make it good is it has a point. So many people give speeches don't have a point. Let's change gears a little bit. Let me talk about what I think a good speech is. A good speech consists of three incredibly important elements: understanding, sympathy, and action. And these terms I change around from year to year, but I think this is what we're going to go with for now. I think if these three things are there, you have a good speech. Speech is always meant, public speaking is always meant, and rhetoric is always meant to make a connection with other people. It's very popular right now in our political moment to say, well, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to tell them how it is. I'm going to say exactly how I feel about this. And I don't care what other people think. That's fine if that is called for and that's what you want to do. But it's important to note that those things are anti-rhetorical. They are against the precepts and conceptions of what we're trying to do in public speaking. Nobody is going to get what they want if you go in front of an audience and you call them all idiots and tell them exactly how the world is to you. All you're doing is making yourself, your friends, feel better about the positions you already hold. What if you could approach the audience in a way to say, I think they could understand this, but I'm going to have to radically alter how I communicate and conceptualize my beliefs here. How can I do that? And you think about what they're capable of, and you think, man, this is going to be really hard. You make some changes, you test it out, and you're fair to the audience. You don't think of the audience as a bunch of idiots, which is pretty much what the mainstream media and what other people say in politics these days. We can't have that luxury because when we go to speak to an audience, we think the stakes are pretty high. We want them to change something. Every single speech, I should probably put this in here too. Every speech is an attempt to get someone to change. Even an informative speech, even a speech that's celebratory, epidictic speech, a celebratory speech, a speech of commemoration and celebration. These are all attempts to change your feelings, change the focus of your feelings, change the focus of your what you think is important. Every speech is an attempt to get someone to change, either change what they're doing, what they believe, or what they think, or what they feel. So the first step in this is understanding. They have to know what it is that you believe. So you could say what you believe, but that's the first step. Sometimes it's hard to get that out. Sometimes you're not sure what you believe. Sometimes it's hard to get that out. It might be good to maybe try to state it in terms that the audience would understand. How would they understand what it is? So this is an attempt to get them to get what you are saying. That's the best way I can sort of put it. An attempt to get them to get what you are saying. So what this means is they have to understand what it is that you're saying, and okay, you want to change the tax code. Okay, I got that. Or okay, you want us to change the way the police enforce the law. Okay, I got that. Oh, you don't think that the lunches that they serve on campus are nutritious enough. Okay, got it. Oh, you think we don't admire and respect female athletes as much as we should. I got it. Okay. So that's the level of understanding, and that is the most important. That's the foundational level. Next level, sympathy, which is a lot of times our speeches, people have to recognize you feel strongly about this issue. I think that's part of it. Let me see if I can get it out in a little bit of a better way here. Sympathy is one of these things where people have to say, I understand what you're saying, and I see why you feel the way you do. It's a recognition of why you're passionate, why you care so much, but it's not agreement. It's not the movement you want, but it's an essential step. If people just understand what you're talking about, they might say, well, why does it affect me? Why does it bother me? What do I have to do with any of this? Sympathy is that feeling, that connection to say, oh, I understand this. That's a very human connection there, but they're still not quite there to agree with you, but they can feel it. So this is the important reason why in a speech you have to have emotion and you have to have passion and you have to explain and tell stories and try to garner some emotional connection to the topic. To not do so is to really leave that out. And cold understanding is not really a good way to get an audience to do something, because then they might go too far with it, or they might just say, yeah, I understand that, and but they don't understand the feelings, the human connection behind it, the emotional connection behind it. So important. We'll be talking about that a lot this semester. And then action could also be, another term I've used in the past is agreement. And this is like not a lot of speeches, maybe 10% of your speeches will actually reach that level, I think, in the world, because people have to go think about it. And one of the things that we know is that people like to come to decisions themselves. They don't like to be told what to do, and they don't like to be understood as sort of going along with what someone said. They want to come to conclusions on their own. So it's questionable whether or not your speech might actually change minds, but you could plant the seeds. And I think it's a very bad metric to say that your speech changes minds. Why is my phone being so dumb right now? How do I turn? I want it off. Off. You see, this is the thing that we have to deal with. The Romans didn't have to deal with this. I mean, sure, they might have like somebody charging in and, stab the chief executive to death or whatever on the floor of the Senate. But, to have a phone be like, oh, you want a voice search for everything you said in the past 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. And you're going to have audience members on their phone and phones interrupting you and all of that for the rest of time, and then whatever comes after the phone that you're going to have to deal with in your speeches. So interruption and distraction is just part of it. It is a part of public speaking, and it doesn't matter whether it happens or not, and it doesn't matter if you can prevent it or not. What matters is how do you respond to it? How do you integrate it? And I hope I did a pretty good job there. Even though I made all the preparations to turn that thing off and have it be quiet and not make any noise, it still started talking to me about what I was saying continuously and wouldn't stop. So that's the world that we live in now. So be prepared for interruptions. Okay, so action and agreement. What does this mean? Well, this means they understand and they feel it. Now, if they stop at that point, they might say, I see exactly where you're coming from, and I sympathize completely with you. You're right. But they don't feel the need to act or change their own mind at all. Action and agreement is when people recognize or commit Now, this might take some time, and I don't want you to feel bad if immediately an audience doesn't come over to your side. I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time, and a lot of times it takes several days for somebody to process what it is you're saying. You have to say it really well, too. We suffer as human beings from lots of different things that have evolved with us as communicative animals that rely on communication for survival. One of those is the idea that we prefer our own ideas to the ideas of others. We're very, very critical of the ideas of others and very, very light on our own ideas. And that is enhanced by things like social media, where you're only seeing ideas that resonate with your own, because these are ad-driven, profit-driven things, Facebook and things like that. So that exacerbates it. It's meant to be done in communities and groups, and things like that. So that's what we're looking for: understanding, sympathy, and agreement. Now, let's talk about the syllabus. Do you start with a good hook that indicates the importance of interest to your topic? I think maybe we should do these on another video, because I've already talked long enough on this one. But that's where we're going to start up on video number 2. So stick around for that one. And understanding, sympathy, and action or agreement are the things you want to use as sort of the big picture items about public speaking.